Following Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Japanese counterpart Sanai Takeuchi's meeting in New Delhi, India and Japan are entering a new phase of economic cooperation. What holds next? What are the big opportunities and challenges? I have with me JICA Chief Mr. Takeuchi Takuro to discuss all of that on this edition of Big Business Bet. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me today on WION. Firstly, I would like to understand, definitely the summit has set a direction for the ties between two countries. What has been your key takeaway so far? And from an execution perspective, what do you think are going to be the top priorities for, say, the next 12 to 18 months?
Thank you so much. So at last year's Japan-India summit, the Japan-India joint vision for the next decade was agreed upon. And that identified 8 key areas of cooperation, including the next generation economic security, next generation mobility, next generation people-to-people partnership, etc., etc. Right. I understand that bilateral cooperation takes time and requires steady effort towards the medium and long-term goals. So this vision reflects a shared commitment of the both countries to move forward step by step toward these objectives. In that sense, the major areas of cooperation have already been set through last year's vision, and we are now in the process of turning them into reality. I understand that this approach forms the overall tone of the current summit. So that is my understanding.
Also, for Japanese manufacturers, infrastructure sure is only part of the process, right? But within the ecosystem in India, what do you think still needs to be done as far as to unlock the investments that are being talked of?
Now, India is the second largest investment destination for Japan in Asia. So that is after Singapore. So overall, the trend is very positive. And to further accelerate the expansion of Japanese manufacturing company into India, I believe it is essential to encourage more small and medium-sized companies to enter the market. In the end, the key is to create an environment where companies can invest comfortably. This is the key word. So I believe there are 5 major elements that make this possible. So first is industrial parks and business locations where companies can operate comfortably. Yeah. And the second, finding reliable Indian business partners. And third is government authorities that Japanese company can rely on. And the fourth element is dependable framework for securing skilled talent. And the final element is safe and comfortable living environment. So if India can build a system that supports all of these elements, I believe India will see a powerful new wave of Japanese investment and business expansion into India. And we, JICA, would like to cooperate within India to make this happen in the possible cooperation fields.
Right. And so we've already spoken about some of the sectors and the environment that is needed, but also wanted to touch upon regional connectivity. Do you see India's northeast region evolving into a genuine gateway for Bangladesh and ASEAN? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, yeah, but that is a very important question. And also the cooperation in Northeast, India is confirmed again that importance between the both leaders yesterday. But I believe there is a strong potential for that. So for Northeast India to become a gateway to a larger regional economic area linking India and with its neighboring countries, so I believe 3 types of connectivities are essential. The first is infrastructure connectivity. So significant progress has already been made. But continued effort will be needed. And the second is economic connectivity. It is important to strengthen economic ties between the Northeast India and the neighboring countries in areas where they can complement each other. So this is quite important. And the third is political and diplomatic connectivity. So this will be the foundation for building closer ties and greater regional integration across borders. Of course, diplomacy cannot be achieved by the effort of one country alone, and many conditions need to come together. But India has outstanding and patient diplomatic capabilities. I am very much hopeful that such an environment will emerge in the near future.
And the ports are also becoming a very strategic asset, right? Where does JICA see the biggest opportunity to strengthen India's role and Japan's role in the Indo-Pacific supply chain?
Okay. So actually, my answer will not touch upon port and logistics alone, but much more bigger context about how to create Indo-Pacific supply chain, what is essential. So if my understanding is right, I can answer your questions. But first of all, India is a major country, so it is working to build. Currently, India is working to build self-reliant manufacturing capabilities across all important sectors. So it is therefore difficult to identify just for one or two priority areas. I believe there is potential in many different fields. But so I'm not sure if that is exactly what you had in mind, but the Prime Minister Modi has strongly promoted the vision of making India and make for the world. So in that context, I often heard from the Indian business leaders, it is important to develop a highly skilled workforce for manufacturing and to build a more disciplined workforce across society as a whole. So Japan has a strong experience and capabilities in developing such human resources. So I believe there are many opportunities for cooperation in that area, and that will lead making the resilient and strong Indo-Pacific supply chains.
Right. And so speaking of areas internally, if you had to place one long-term bet on India's future, which sector or region do you think is going to be the most important for the next decade of India and Japan collaboration?
Thank you so much. Oh, that is not an easy question. But again, India is a major country. If the country is small, I can specify which area is the most prominent. But so this is not just a diplomatic remark, but I genuinely believe the potential spans many different fields. So in particular, at last year's Japan-India summit, again, the Japan-India joint vision for the next decade was agreed upon. It identifies 8 key areas of cooperation, as I mentioned earlier. And I believe these are all excellent areas of cooperation. And those 8 areas all areas has a big potential. So I see significant potential there. And I believe that they will create many opportunities for deeper collaboration between Japan and India in the years ahead. And we always keep in mind when we look for the new cooperation area, those 8 areas will be has a very big potential for the future.
So apart from all the sectors that we have spoken, there are India-Japan ties, but a lot of other factors are also at play. There's currency volatility, there's inflation. So given this backdrop, how at JICA are you altering your financing model in any way to ensure the long-term resilience of projects that are underway?
Thank you so much. That is a good point. So we offer a range of interest rate options from fixed to floating rate and also from mid-term to long-term financing. And we also provide loans not only in Japanese yen, but also in US dollars. But hedging exchange rate fluctuation of the Indian rupee is a matter that needs to be addressed by the government Indian side. So at present, we don't have additional options beyond, as I mentioned earlier.
Okay. And so, your organization is known for developing, outstanding physical infrastructure. But beyond that, beyond, roads and rail, is the next phase increasingly going to be about green technology, semiconductors, and advanced manufacturing?
Oh, that's a good point. So in terms of the amount of financing, infrastructure, especially transport infrastructure, account for a large share of our portfolio. However, in terms of the number of projects, so our portfolio has already become more diversified. So covering areas such as agriculture, forestry, or health services, higher education, in addition to infrastructure. So we have long worked along 2 main pillars. One is supporting India's self-reliant development, and the second is promoting greater inclusion. So this basic approach will remain unchanged. But as you mentioned, green technologies, digital infrastructure, and semiconductor, all important areas for our future cooperation. So what these areas suggest is that while financing remains important, but knowledge will play an increasingly important role in our bilateral cooperation. So the key question is how Japan and India can work together in areas where Japan has so strong expertise and experience, and India has a strong demand.
Right. So, we have spoken about technology and the sectors that we could work together on, but I wanted to understand beyond infrastructure, basically beyond tangible assets, how do you see skills, operational excellence, institutional capacity? Where do they stand in terms of JICA's India strategy?
Okay. So our cooperation has never been focused solely on building physical infrastructure. Even in infrastructure project, we work closely with our Indian counterpart on how that facilities will be operated and managed. When needed, we provide technical cooperation, share the knowledge of Japanese experts, and offer the training program in Japan to efficiently or effectively manage the infrastructure. But as I mentioned earlier, I believe the knowledge will play an increasingly important role in our future cooperation. So we'd like to build more cooperation projects in area, again, where India has strong needs and where we can contribute our expertise and experience. And now we already start the project formulation, for example, in the area of semiconductor. And the infrastructure is also important, but we much more highlight the making the system of the human resource development. We will work with the Indian excellent universities, and also we are working with the Indian state government how to create the especially trainer of the trainer, so to expand the working labor force in semiconductor factories, for example. This kind of collaboration we already starting. So under the policy that I mentioned earlier.
Right. So speaking of collaboration, we have already spoken about the government-to-government ties, but I also wanted to understand how significant is private capital is going to be in the relationship between India and Japan.
Okay, so I believe JICA can contribute in three ways to help strengthen the environment, especially for Japanese company to invest comfortably in India. Right. And first, through infrastructure. So this including supporting the development of industrial park or other business locations, as well as ensuring reliable infrastructure services such as power supply and quality roads that many companies need. But however, the second and third points are even more important. So second element, what we can do is, we can help strengthen Indian government's capacity to support Japanese companies. So we are already working with partners such as the government of Telangana in this area. So when Japanese companies enter India, it is essential for them to find reliable Indian partners and adapt their technology and business model to local conditions. We support the efforts of for example, Telangana state government to strengthen the capacity of Indian institute to assist these activities. And third, we can help create a platform for dialogue between the government of India and Japanese companies. We'd like to support efforts that help the Indian side better understanding the needs of investors and also translate those insights into more effective investment promotion and higher satisfaction among companies already operating in India.
So that's about the collaborations. Also wanted to, you already mentioned about the kind of environment that we want to operate in. But speaking from a climate perspective, you've spent some time in India. You've seen how urbanization is happening very rapidly. So how has that changed JICA's approach with respect to having climate resilient projects and technology enabled projects?
Okay. So among the areas you mentioned, urban disaster resilience is one of the areas where we are placing particular emphasis recently. In particular, the impact of climate change are becoming more visible each year, including the changes in rainfall patterns, and flood disasters are becoming more severe. So we are currently exploring opportunity for cooperation in cities such as Chennai and Mumbai. So going forward, we hope to identify further opportunities to support urban flood management and urban flood resilience project.
Understood. And sir, anything else that you would like to add that, the scope that you see in India and Japan ties, the potential that you see going forward?
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of potential areas, as I mentioned earlier. But again, what we see most important is how Japan's knowledge, especially experiences, expertise, work for both countries, the collaboration. So again, while financing is important, but we'd like to much more focusing on how we can deliver our knowledge and how we can cooperate or help to solve your issues facing by Indian side. So in this view, under this view or with this view, we'd like to create much more collaboration. So based on the vision, the agreed between the both countries, and also some agenda will added in the last sub-summit meeting. Yeah. We'd like to cooperate the strengths in the both countries' collaboration. But the knowledge is a keyword for us.
All right. Knowledge is the key word. So that's the headline that I'm taking. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me today on WION. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. From infrastructure to investment, India and Japan partnership is evolving and deepening further. The next chapter will be defined not just by announcements, but by projects delivered. And knowledge is going to be the keyword, as the JICA chief said. That was Mr. Takeuchi Takuro on Big Business Bet.